Hey everyone, I am here with Amy Vilela. She is running for Congress to represent Nevada's 4th Congressional District. You already know who Amy Vilela is. She is a favorite of this show. Amy, thanks for coming back on the program.
Thanks for having me on.
It's always great to have you. We're always looking forward to updates, and a lot has happened since we last spoke. So I know you come with good news. You were endorsed recently by an organization that I think we all are excited about. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I have just been endorsed by Our Revolution National, and I am very excited. It really brought it full circle for me. As I've stated before on the program, that, when I was in the depths of grief and just barely starting to get out and figure out what I wanted to do with all the information I had, I went to that single payer conference in New York City. And that's when I met the amazing Nina Turner. And I remember her really being very inspirational for me and telling me, Amy, you've got to dig really deep. You got to dig deeper than you ever thought you had to. You have all the bones you need to go out there and be, a fighting force for change. And, that was the beginning. And the next step I went was, I did go to the Women's March in Washington, D.C., to join up with PDA and Our Revolution there, to really push some progressive agenda and really have some great conversations. That really was the beginning for me into my stepping into activism. And then to see her again at the most recent Our Women's March here in Las Vegas, and then to find out that I've been endorsed by Our Revolution National, it was an amazing thing. It was an amazing feeling. It's been a long journey, even though it's only been a year. It feels like a lot longer.
Yeah, I bet.
That was really amazing for me. And it really, I hope that message that gets out to everyone else is that, we can find strength, meaning, and purpose even in the most darkest moments in our life. We all still have a voice. And we all still have a place at the table, and we can be, the catalyst for change, even in its smallest measure.
Right. That's so great to hear. I think that, the more I hear about your journey, because for the most part, I think that I have the whole story together, but seeing how it all really came full circle, where you met Nina Turner and now you're being endorsed by Nina Turner as a candidate, it's really inspiring. And I hope that this really does encourage other people to get involved, because if you were able to take something and turn it around and basically dedicate your life for the good, then other people certainly have no excuse. So yeah, that's really exciting. So in general, I wanted to get an update on your campaign, because as everyone knows by now, Representative Ruben Kihuen is not going to be running for re-election because there was a scandal involving him and sexual misconduct with staffers and whatnot. We won't get into that because I want to make this about Amy and not Ruben. But basically, this is my question for you, because my assumption was that as soon as he announced that he's not running, the state party in Nevada should have jumped over themselves to endorse you. So do you feel as though they're embracing you, or do you kind of feel as though you're still kind of doing this on your own and you're still not being accepted by the establishment, even though you're a phenomenal candidate?
That is a good question. That right now there's no formal endorsement of anyone, but there is a lot of people coming into the race. And I am still running on a very progressive platform, unapologetically progressive. And I really think that this is playing out right now, that I'm really the only candidate that's going to be able to not only, be a voice for, the 99%, but also the only one probably that's going to be able to keep that seat blue going into the next election. The problem that they have is that many people want to talk about the issues. They want specifics. They don't want to hear anymore that, oh, I'm with you. That's no longer enough. We need to know, how are you with us? And have a very strong platform and be able to be very specific on the issue so that you can reach across the aisle. Even when you start talking to people about the issues and you forget about all the rhetoric, that's where people, really you gain like the support of the people that maybe a traditional Democrat is not going to be able to garner that support. People are tired of the status quo. It's no longer acceptable. It's no longer enough. We have to be fighting for the people. They're looking at, the opensecrets.org. They're seeing who is funding those other, candidates. They're going to be looking to see where that money's coming from. They're going to be looking to see where you are exactly on the issues. I think more now than ever in recent history, people know the bills. They know what's out there and what's being presented, and they're watching. And that is where they're going to have a severe disadvantage against me, because what I'm not beholden, and I'm not tied up by my donor base.
So I've been doing some preliminary research on other individuals that got into the same race as you currently. And look, I always support people running. I think that that's great that people want to get involved. But the problem is that when I see who's running against you, not to name names, I hear a lot about the resistance and they're anti-Trump, but I don't hear much discussion about policy. And you've pretty much laid out every single policy issue that you are in favor of. You've spoken out in favor of net neutrality. One of your opponents took $4,500 from AT&T. You've spoken out for Medicare for all. Your opponents haven't said anything. Just, we want to defend healthcare. Awesome! I'm glad you want to defend healthcare. How do you want to do that? So basically, you've talked about ranked choice voting, you've talked about actual issues that will have a real world impact, and at the same time, you've also been able to make it clear that you're also anti-Trump. At this point, I think the other people in the race, they've just talked about being anti-Trump. But I want real policy issues, and I know that you care about policy issues, and your campaign is driven by the people because you're talking to people about the policy issues. So can you tell me a little bit about the conversations you've had with people in Nevada and what specific policies they really care about and what you would push for if you were elected?
I know that healthcare is really important in Nevada. It is one of the cornerstones of my campaign, and I think this isn't just for Nevada, but it's across the country. And, I'm not the only one that's running on a platform with Medicare for all that is coming up against other candidates in their races that are now trying to find new ways of massaging the message that I'm really not for Medicare for all. And the key term now is, I want affordable health care and access. I think someone in my district had said that they wanted to find a way to have affordable Medicare and Medicaid for all.
What?
I don't know. These are the things that everyone's going to really have to be careful when they're looking at these issues. And I'm being very specific, about the issues. We have a problem with housing, with the shortage of affordable housing. We need to be protecting our native lands and also our public lands and making sure that it's not being, sold off to the highest bidder. We need to be fighting for a livable wage now that's tied to inflation. These are things that are really affecting, residents here in Nevada, and what's really interesting when a lot of people know Nevada and Las Vegas, where I live, to be this great place to go and have fun, and it's an exciting city full of lights and great adventures and whatever other mayhem they're coming for. But, if you just drive a few blocks outside of the strip, you will see all of our homeless. And our residents here in Nevada are fighting for a livable wage, and all of these wonderful experiences are on the backs of Nevadans. And we have a lot of work here to do in Nevada to ensure that we have a good quality life for the people that are making those wonderful experiences possible for the rest of the country. And just like everyone else, they're worried about money and politics. I mean, they're worried about their voice and their vote counting. We have a lot of fractures, within the Democratic Party in Nevada. I know it's across the United States as well. And the way that we overcome the divides that we have within the party, and not so much just for the importance of the party, but for us to be able to get into office and to be able to make changes, is to talk about the issues and to unite people across party lines. Get the independents out there voting for me as well, and be able to be successful in this candidacy. I hear a lot of people that are always asking, why aren't you running, on other party lines and things of that sort. It's really not possible in a lot of states. And I'm a fighter. I'm going to keep on fighting to ensure that we have someone that's really representing the people here in Nevada.
Right. And one thing that I really like about you is that you make sure that you're inclusive of everyone. And, when it comes to Democratic Party establishment figures, they make it clear that they're inclusive when it comes to demographics and gender and sex. But you also make it clear that you're inclusive of individuals across party lines. So you are trying to get independents to support you as well.
Right.
You support ranked choice voting, so that way if somebody wants to vote for Greens, they can do that, but not spoil their vote, as many people will say. So can you talk about why you think it's important that the Democratic Party, generally speaking, embraces independents and even Green Party members?
Well, I know in Nevada, there was an article that just came out that there has been a big loss of Democratic voters. They've exited. And, winning the primary is no longer just the only concern going into this next election. What they need to understand is that, what the Democratic Party, here in recent history was supposed to represent was the working class. And when you start, alienating people just based on what party they're in, you're going to lose in the general. And that is, the district I'm in is in a flip district. It has been, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. And, I think it's important also to note, Mike, that, when we're talking about issues that affect people, it doesn't matter what's behind your name. If you're a Democrat or Republican or independent and your child's sitting in a hospital and, they're not able to get the care that they need because of insurance status, it really doesn't matter. And I don't know any of us that we pass someone on the street in need of help and say, well, I need to know what party you're with before I help you, my fellow, community member, my brother, my sister. We are each other's keepers, and it doesn't matter what's behind your name. We have real issues that need to be fixed in this country. We've got issues with immigration, with families which are going to be torn away from the life that they've known. We've got, people in prison for nonviolent, marijuana convictions. We need to reform that system. We have people that are in need of, just the basic necessity of life that we are not getting addressed right now sufficiently with our current representatives in the House and in the Senate. So when people want to talk about party, I'm more interested in you, in the average person that's sitting out there. How are we going to help you? Because I'm tired of seeing people cry. And I did a video not long ago where I really wanted to put this out there to the public that, yes, I am hurting and I'm in pain and I cry my tears. But there are millions of other Americans out there that every day are shedding their own. And even though they're not for the same reason that I shed mine, pain is pain. And it really doesn't matter what party you're associated with. We have a duty to ensure that we are protecting each other and being each other's keepers in this country.
Right. And I think that you brought up something really important. And I was hoping that you could basically send a message to dreamers, because right now, if I were a dreamer trying to put myself in their shoes, I would feel incredibly demoralized, because you vote for a party that says they're going to represent you in Congress and they're not. They're caving. So can you explain what you would do to fight for dreamers in Congress? And, if you want to just add anything that you want to say to dreamers, because I know right now they're feeling very discouraged, and you were in a situation like that too. Very different, but I mean, still, you were in a very depressed state of mind. So what can you say to them?
Don't give up, because there are many more Americans out here that understand your plight, and they want you, and they want to embrace you in this country. We're going to keep fighting. If I get into Congress, that will be definitely, it should be taken care of before I get there. Democrats need to have a backbone. We need to say enough is enough. We're not budging on this. We need to stand up. That's 800,000 lives that are on the line right now, of families that are going to be torn apart. And, I don't even like to call them dreamers. They are Americans.
Exactly.
For all purposes. So when we're talking about that fight, we're with you. I'm with you. And I will do anything I can in my power to help you. I'm very active out here. I'm trying to support in any way I can, just being a civilian. But in office, I'm going to fight, not just for Dreamers, but for anyone who is going through those type of circumstances. We need to have true justice in this country. And, that goes down to economic, it goes down to racial justice, LGBTQIA justice. We need to have, the Democratic Party as a whole needs to embrace those fights again and be on the forefront of that fight. And not just in generalities, start being specific. When I talk about healthcare, I am talking in very specific terminologies. For instance, let's just say in the LGBTQIA. When have you ever heard someone come out and say, that's elected, very few, that, not only going to fight for Medicare for all, let's take it a step further. Gender reassignment. That is not cosmetic. That should be included. It is necessary medical treatment. PrEP. That should be covered just as we cover Viagra. I mean, these are the type of specifics that we need to be talking about. That's how you hold the people that are running against you, their feet to the fire. Just how much are you with us? I don't need you patting me on the arm and saying I'm with you. I need action. I need you to do what you are elected to do, and that's to represent the people in your district and in America, and that means everyone.
But Amy, the Republicans, they're really scary. I don't know if you've seen them in Congress, but you're saying this now, but, the Democrats in Congress, they've shown that, they're willing to back down because Republicans might say something mean about you. They might try to, they might try to smear you and say that you care more about Dreamers or the LGBT community than our military, for example. So how do you fight Republicans in Congress? How do you fight Donald Trump? How do you combat their propaganda with the truth? I know that's a broad question, but just generally speaking, I just want to demonstrate, because I know that you're not afraid to stand up to Republicans. So how do you do that? How do you effectively stand up to Republicans?
I think it's very important that you're constantly communicating with people in your district, and that you have your district, first of all, standing behind you, which means that you're in constant communication with the people that you're representing. And then when you're in, on the floor, you're not backing down. I'm not scared of being called a name. I mean, I've gotten a lot of that since I've been pretty much out there and very prolific in what I'm saying. That doesn't get to me. To me, it's no different than when I was in a boardroom. I mean, fighting for what I needed to have done as a CFO. This is part of the job. And if you cannot and you do not have the backbone to stand up for what's right and stand up for the American people, you do not belong in Congress at all. Quit. Drop out, do not run again, because that's what we need. And it's a lot easier to stand up when I don't have to answer to corporate donors or to special interests or to lobbyists. I'm answering to the people. So I'm going to be more afraid to come back and not have represented the people in my district than to be more afraid of that than anyone, what they have to say on the floor or in Congress. That is where that's who I'll be beholden to, because I won't get elected again. Imagine that.
Yeah, and what's unique about your campaign is that you're actually funded exclusively by the people. I know you don't have a super PAC. I don't know what your average contribution is, but I would imagine it'd be like $27, right? Do you have that data?
It's less than that, actually.
Okay.
But we've had, just in the last quarter, we had over 3,300 individual donors donate to my campaign.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And I think overall it's been almost 4,000 donors since my campaign began.
Wow.
So we have had a huge amount of support. And every little bit helps. We are really hitting the ground running. We've got some amazing people that have joined our team, that have come on board, that are helping us, really take this campaign to the next level. We've had over 500 people sign up to volunteer, not only in Las Vegas, but across the nation. And we're getting ready to start that, the ground game. And we're going to be calling on everybody that's already signed up for volunteer to get out there and let's get started and let's really get to work. And right now, and again, if anyone is able, we could use all the help we can get right now. We are right now bringing on our field director, and any little bit of money that people can donate helps keep our field staff on the ground, a day longer and get the materials printed. And they can go to bit.ly/give Amy. So any little help does, because we are just doing grassroots. I've actually gotten some pushback from some of the media that, I think one of the reporters actually said, well, I can't even say her name. And like the person reporting was like, oh, you mean Amy Vilela? Yes. And he's like, because, grassroots campaigns, they just can't win. We have to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
I don't need to take money from corporations and big donors in order to do this. If we all pull together, because we're all in this together, we have to start proving them wrong. That's how we make change. That's how we open it up to get ranked choice voting. That's how we open our democracy up so that it's more of a true representation of the people. But I need all of you. I need everyone to help and pitch in and help us get to that next level so that we can continue fighting this. Nevada is going to be a very important state. There's a lot of people looking to see what happens in my district. And right after my election, in 2 more years, then we've got the election for the next president. It is so important right now. This is an important state, and it's an important race.
Absolutely. And I know that your website is amyforthepeople.com, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, tell us when your primary actually does occur. Do you know the date of that?
It's June 12th.
Okay.
Early starts at the end of May. We've only got, it sounds like it's a long way away, but it's moving fast.
It'll creep up quickly.
Really big momentum, yes. And I'm really going against some pretty well-funded, opponents in this race. And so I'm going to need all the help I can. We've already, done a lot of work, and we have a lot of momentum going. So we're just trying to get that extra push to keep that going and surpass where we've been, so that we can now start really hitting that ground, because that's the way we're going to be able to win this, is by getting people that have become disenfranchised, getting them back involved and knowing there is someone that you can vote for. There is somebody who will listen, who will let you be an active participant in the process even after she's elected. I'm really looking forward to that. That's something I really would love to see, is more people having monthly town halls, hearing from people within the community and having them get involved in this process and explaining what's in the bills and getting input. I think that's going to change what's happening in America, even during this administration. And it isn't just resisting. We need to get people in there that are actually starting the movements, speaking out to all their constituents, and getting the movement starts for other bills that we can start, presenting when we do have a change in the presidency. But that, it isn't going to happen just overnight. We have to start on it now. We have to start really messaging on progressive values and ideas, so that when we do have an opportunity to have them heard on the floor, that we have the momentum already built to have these bills passed in legislation.
I'm so glad that you understand that. Because one thing I heard about Bernie Sanders' bill when he introduced the Medicare for All bill was that why would he introduce this, when Republicans are in control of all branches of government? He's just posturing. No, you need to build coalitions right now, so when you take back power, then you've already put in the work. So thank you so much for saying that, because you're one of the few people that are running for Congress that knows the importance of this, and it's so refreshing to hear that. So before we go, is there anything that we need to know about your primary with regard to whether it's open or closed, any unique registration deadlines that people should meet if they want to vote for you, anything important?
Well, I know the last time that we have our primary, when you're registering to change your party or registering, to become a Democrat, I think you have till the middle of May. Mm-hmm. So we really need to get out there and start getting people to get out to vote. It's so important, and I know a lot of people are very disenfranchised with the political system, but we won't be able to make change until we get people in office that are willing to be forces to be reckoned with on those issues. That's where we have to start, and then we can really go forward and be very progressive on these issues. But we have to get people in office that are able to start that momentum and to make those changes incrementally. So we need people to get out there and help us get out the vote. get them registered, get them, standing behind us, in solidarity. We need volunteers. We definitely need donations. It's very hard. And, a lot of people are like, well, May's really far off or June's really far off. No, the work starts now.
Yeah.
I need to be out there on the ground. They haven't had a chance to get their teams together. This is our opportunity to get out there and really hit it hard and be, actually ahead of the game and be out there getting the message out there. So it's very important that we have support, all the progressive candidates. But I definitely hope people will support me in my run, and we're really gaining some momentum, and it's getting a lot of coverage, which is really good for the issues. It can be hard sometimes, talking about what I've been through, but it really is opening doors and opportunities for a lot of press and media coverage across this nation and getting people to understand why it's so important to be involved.
All right, well, that's perfect. Hey, you guys heard it there from Amy herself, amyforthepeople.com. If you could even donate just $1, anything helps. So sign up, you can volunteer, and let's make sure that we get her in Congress because, as you've heard, there's no doubt she's going to get in there and actually fight for us, and she has a spine. Surprise. So, yeah, amyforthepeople.com.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.